Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Americana Classic tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. So let's go! So we're going to start out playing with an extra level 5 and a katana ball. And the reason we're using a katana is due to the side spin. We do need a side spin 3 as we are not having curl enough on our club to do anything else. You can see I stretch out my target to visualize how much overpower do I need to have to be able to hit the intended landing spot. We do also need to over adjust 10%. Reason we do that is because we're playing it downhill and therefore the ball is going to be affected more by the wind than normal. And the thing that I'm looking for here is to get myself as close to the pin. So I'm actually going for the green, but I will also have to understand that I'm not having the top spin enough to get the ball to roll towards the pin if I'm not hitting very close to the rough on the top. And I don't want to danger going into the water in any form, so I do want the ball to just bounce on the fairway, getting it over, and then rely on the wedge that I'm having so I can get the ball in the hole for an eagle. In my opinion, this is going to be a must eagle when you're playing the tournament as the wind is angled in our favor. Let's say that you want to make a drive that is a little bit more like easier for you. Play with a power 3 ball, then you don't have to go with overpower. And I think that you should be playing, of course, with the ball that you want, but side spin is so crucial as you're not having the curl that much. And here you can see we're having a wedge club that has a very good ball guideline. The trick here, in my opinion, is to never let the ball guideline be outside the cup with a very low wind. Like if you do have a wind that is below 5 miles per hour, you should very rarely get the ball to be get the ball guideline to be outside the pin. Hole number 2, par 3, and here we're going to use the Goliath, and we're going to use Goliath or the backbone. That's up to you to decide. It doesn't really matter. You go with the one that you feel the most comfortable with. I'm going with 2.5 bar backspin, and I'm trying to visualize so my second bounce is around 4 squares into the green with half of the blue ring on the left inside the bunker, falling down inside the bunker. And then we're going to play medium distance with a 10% over adjustment, which means that we're playing downhill and the ball is going to be more affected by the wind. And the ball coming in here very nicely, turns around. Can we get it in the hole? Yes, we can. Get in the hole. Lovely, 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 lovely. So, before we go to hole number 3, don't forget to check down in the video description down below. You can find timestamp for all the holes in this playthrough, and there you can go directly to the hole that you do want to watch. Also, if you do want to get updated text guides, which means that you get detailed instructions of every shot that you take on every hole based on the wind that we're having. You can sign up and get them on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. You cannot get them anywhere else. Hole number 2 was on hole 1, and I think the important part here though is that we do make sure that we're using the elevation adjustment and also using that backspin. Try to replicate the situation, but the backspin is important to have at least a 2.5 bar backspin to get the ball to stop in time rolling to the green. Hole number 3, and here we're going to use a power 1 ball. We can once again use a ball with more power, gonna come to that a little bit later, but here you can see what I'm going to do. This shot is aggressive, and this is basically the only way for us to get a shot to be very close, sorry, not close, but get shot that we do not have the trees on the top left in our face for the second shot. I'm playing in between the trees here. You can see we do have a spot, but if you do hit the ball great, that's going to be a problem if you hit a more of a massive great. I'm using a power 1 ball, and once again I would suggest you to play with a power 2, power 3 ball if playing this approach, because then you will not have to overpower. You can see I'm bounced through the trees, getting myself nicely down to the fairway, and I have an open shot towards the pin. The thing that is normal to do, and if you don't feel that you want to play that aggressive shot that I just showed, then you play on the left side. You either bounce before the bunker to get to roll as far as possible, or you use a power 1, 2 or 3 ball to go directly over the bunker to gain as much distance in that way. The only thing is though, it's like if we bounce over or if we go down there on the fairway, we will be having the trees in our face on the top left. So therefore we would love to play with some curl, and not the curl that we're having on an XMI level 4 or level 5, a curl that we would be more having like an apocalypse type of curl. And that's what makes it tough, because we do need to get the ball as much into the right to not having the trees in our face. Therefore, for those of you that feel confident with your driver, then try to play the aggressive route. Worst case scenario, get into the bunker or into the rough, and you will still be able to reach to bounce that ball towards the pin. But in a best case scenario, you do have an open shot here towards the pin, and this is definitely going to be a good albatross attempt. The drive is going to be downhill 10%, super important. And the second shot is also going to be downhill, 10% downhill for the second shot as well. And the reason we play downhill, I'm gonna continue come to that, is because when we play downhill, the ball is affected more by the wind, and therefore we're going to have to add to our adjustment. The ball bounces on the fairway, we're getting it close, get in, super close, and we go to hole number 4. Hole number 4 is a par 3, and here we're going to play this one with a 20% downhill elevation, which means that this ball is even more affected by the wind, and therefore we're going to have to add 20%. Please do not play as our opponent is doing, trying to use the very bumpy fairway there is there to the left. We're going to use the fairway pad that we do have on the right, because that is, in my opinion, the best and the only way to get some type of consistency. I understand that is a thin fairway spot, but you can see how that ball did bounce there, way out to the left. So I'm using a Marlin ball because I want to use my Viper. 3 bars of backspin, and we're going to aim towards the pin. We're going to use a little bit of side spin to the left as well, using 2 bars of side spin to the left. With the 3 bars of backspin, we are already going to get some slight push from this fairway slope, this angled fairway here to the left. So therefore we still need to aim slightly to the right of the pin with the side spin that we're having. And then we're going to play minimum distance with a 20% over adjustment. The ball bounces nicely on the fairway and get in there, get very close towards the pin. Good speed, and that would definitely be a hole-in-one if we would be going straight at the pin. Hole 5, and here we're going to play on the right side. You can see that you can play over to the left side as well, but I would not suggest you to play that way if you're not feeling comfortable with your if you're not feeling comfortable with the ring adjustment or your driver shot, that you will hit a lot of balls straight and stuff. Don't play on the left, then play on the right. Don't take any risk, you will bounce your ball over the rough. I'm using here a power 3 ball to stay away from overpower. 20% downhill, so this one's also playing massively downhill, so we need to over adjust that for getting the ball to the spot that we want it to. And once again, I'm not saying no to the left side, I just want you to be clear with that is a little bit more of a risk, as you do have a more tiny fairway to play towards. Once getting over like we're doing here now, we have no problem to reach for the pin, even though the approach shot isn't going to be super easy. It's still going to be possible though. Our opponent's playing with a Guardian, using a lot of backspin. Don't blame him for doing so. And this, once again, getting the albatross to drop here from distance isn't really the easiest thing, but definitely a possibility. And for my sake here, I'm going to play with max side spin to the right. And I'm going to be using 3 bars of backspin. You can see I'm playing with the Viper in minimum distance of my club, aiming for the pin with the ball guideline to bounce on the fringe, going towards the pin. Red ring by the rough to the right. You can see a little bit inside, and then we're going to adjust minimum distance with a 10% over adjustment. So we need to add 10% to the adjustment. And that will be slightly less than 2 rings. Hit the ball perfect. You're gonna see this one will come in very nicely. It's not gonna go into the hole, but it's gonna come in very close. Get in! Close, and we get to zoom in once again. Getting close here from the front tee. Have in mind, once again, you don't have to play with a Titan. I only do that because I do not want to overpower my drive. Hole number 6, par 4. And here we're going to use the quarterback, and I'm all in. And here it's up to yourself to decide once again what you want to play with in terms of ball. But I would play with a all in here. I would like to definitely play with a quarterback, especially when we have it in level 5+. If you do have a quarterback that is level 4 or lower, then the extra mile would be better, even though the extra mile would be in level 1. It's because we do still need some distance. We don't need a lot of distance, but we still need some distance. And that is what we're going to get by rolling the ball here down the middle. And from this position now, we do have an open shot towards the pin. Very important to have in mind that we're playing the drive downhill once again, 10% extra. So we need to add that to our adjustment. And for those of you that might not understand the add or subtract, please ask. Our opponent is in the rough, and now it's basically just to get this ball up to the green, and it shouldn't be a problem with the putt here, even though it's a pretty long one. Now we have a straight wind towards the pin, and this is going to be a super good opportunity for us. I like to play here on the fairway to use no topspin or backspin whatsoever and aim straight at the pin, and using a minimum distance combined with a 10% over adjustment here for my shot. So no, I take it back, no over adjustment, should be an under adjustment because we're playing it uphill. And therefore we'll need to under adjust our shot, because when it's uphill the ball is going to be less affected by the wind. Unfortunately I hit the ball great and I'm going to miss to the right side. Now we're going to go to hole number 7, and here I'm going to play with the Viper and be playing at the bottom part of the fairway. I'm not going to go with a rough bump, as I do believe that we want to play this hole with something lower than a power 1 ball. I think a Marlin is absolutely perfect here, and something that we can bring with us for the future rounds in the tournament. That Marlin will be enough. Get the ball up here, and coming in a little bit hot, but still not going to be a problem to ship it in from the fringe. For our turn, it's Viper time, and you're going to see that we are in medium distance of our club. So the thing that I'm going to do is to try to find a spot that gives me a consistent bounce. 2.5 bar side spin to the right and 1.5 bar side spin to 1.5 bar top spin, having the blue ring by the rough line to the left. And you can see here that I'm aiming for the ball guideline to be slightly to the left of the pin. Then I said medium distance with a 10% over adjustment. So here we need to over adjust once again, which is going to be slightly more than 2 rings. We hit it perfect, and you're gonna see this ball comes in very, very nicely, and gonna go and roll and get in the hole nicely straight at the pin. And that was lovely, good speed. So this was a perfect adjustment when it comes to hole number 7. Hole number 8, here we're gonna try to go for green with a power 3 ball. Sure, if you do have a power 5 ball, that would definitely be more helpful for you, as you will not have to overpower your shot if playing with a power 5 ball. Max top spin, and I'm also using as much side spin that I can to the right. And the reason using to the right is because the first fairway is going to, at the top there, push the ball to the left with its first bounce. So therefore we need to compensate with the side spin to the right to be spot on. We need to over adjust 15% on this shot, super important. 15% will definitely be a good number to go with. I overpower. Unfortunately I hit the ball great, but I bounced twice on the fairway, and that's what I'm trying to do, to get myself to bounce over the bunker in the end to roll out towards the pin. The tricky part with it is that we're not having that good amount of topspin. We do have a 4.5 bar topspin, which is like, it's okay, but we're not having that much tailwind to help us with. But going into the sand or into the rough by the green is way better than trying to line up or lay up on the right side, giving yourself a long shot with your short iron or with your long iron towards the pin, which is going to be hard to control and hard to really get close. So if I'm going to choose a way to what will give you more eagles, I would say on this hole is going to give you more eagles being in the rough or in the sand close to the green than it's going to be shooting from distance. Then of course, when you are in the sand or in the rough, it's crucial that you hit the ball perfect. But that is otherwise as well. It's just that it's a little bit harder for you once in the sand. At least for me, sand is absolutely terrible. For me, if I get to the rough, then I'm gonna be happy. That's pretty easy in my opinion to hit perfect from the rough. But in the sand, I don't like that at all. We line it up. When we have this low type of wind, never leave the cup with your ball guideline. Always have it inside. You can see I massively grade this one to the right. I'm gonna miss this one. This is also going to be a hole where you're going to see a lot of players making an eagle. Hole number 9, here we do need at least a power 1 ball if we do have an extra mile level 5. I would say more or less play with a power 2 or a power 3 ball. I think that's going to be the easiest way for you here with the drive. 15% downhill for the drive. So you need to adjust that. Now I stretch it out using max side spin and max side spin and 1 bar of backspin to just control my ball. Slight amount of overpower, just because with a power 1 ball you most likely need to play with some slight type of overpower. With a power 2 ball and a power 3 ball you don't have to do that, and therefore that's why I want to add that into my suggestion. Play with a power 2 or a power 3 ball. Give yourself room of not having to overpower. Now for the second shot, we're going to have to over adjust 20%. So that's a lot, but it's because we're playing that one a lot downhill. And now we do have a very nice spot, and this will secure the eagle for us if we're not messing up the second shot completely. But I would say that's something that we will have to take. This is a very tough par 5. Going for the albatross here, or let's say like this, being able to go for the albatross here is going to be super tough, as the pin stands in such a terrible way for us that it's very hard to approach it without using a lot of curl. And we never want, if we don't absolutely have to, approach the pin with curl. So here's the 2.6 in wind. We're going to use backspin. We're going to use as much side spin to the right. But you can see the more we move our target to the right, the more the ball guideline moves to the left. So I'm going to put it in the center, and then I'm going to curl it in towards the pin. So I'm using around half a ball of curl. The only thing that I'm focusing on here is basically get it to green. Sure, I'm trying to get it as close as possible here, but with the curl you can see and the side spin, we are not even close. So you need a lot of curl, and always with curl is going to be risky. So see this one as just an eagle hole. You have plenty of opportunities on the other holes to go with there. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video for Rookie Division in the Americana Classic tournament. If you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Americana Classic.